Hey y'all, and welcome back to Trick and Treat, a visual novel on Steam that we're going through for Halloween. I'm Cody. Hi. Alright, let's go. It is a day like any other, so normal that it was almost painful. We were just unconscious in the forest. I don't know what's happening. The only special thing that could be said about it is that it's October 31st. Far were the memories when I was a kid and went out with my friends to ask for sweets from house to house. Just remembering it made me sigh. I feel nostalgic. Some things were better when I was a child, or at least it seems like that. Whatever. There were some who had good costumes, whether of superheroes or monsters. My friends and I, on the other hand, had to use our imagination. Creativity was our costume, you could say, no matter how funny it could sound. I remember that my mother once painted red on my face and told me, "You will be the devil." But it seems only she saw it that way. When we went from home to home, everyone said I was the tomato man. But those things didn't matter to me since we always had a good time. If I asked for candy now, even if I had the best costume, I'm sure no one would give me anything. Except perhaps just scolding for acting like a child when I am 17 years old. But anyway, I can't stay in the past. I must live in the present, no matter how little exciting that might be. Oh, there we go. Back to reality, we're a group of friends who don't have any plans for today. We're still not old enough to go to a disco, and I doubt guys as us would have any luck in that environment. Guys like us. Diet Pepsi, please sponsor me. Excuse me. The other option would be to go to a party, meet girls, and have fun. Everything perfect, except that nobody has invited us. Not being popular has its disadvantages. Hey Axel, let's have a couple matches. What do you say? My friend Steven called my attention while playing with the game console. Rush Red, I believe that's what the game is called, a fast and quite complicated fighting game for me. I would normally agree to play with him, but for some reason I don't feel in the mood today. I have no desire to play now. I replied with discouragement. I almost feel bad for doing it. Boring, the AI is no rival for me, Stephen said with confidence. That you're playing on normal difficulty does not help your argument. I don't feel like losing, but if you want, you can challenge to Alfred, I said, leading the attention to my other friend. I don't know how to play that, answered Alfred, doubting for a second. He is sitting behind the PC, but it seems that he isn't doing anything interesting. The screen only shows a lot of text. I think he is in Wikipedia. Hey, don't you have something more fun to do? I asked with discouragement without even thinking about what he was reading. Alfred looks at me surprised. The actual problem of society is that people are not interested in discovering their history. He is one of those pseudo-intellectuals always looking for any rare information to appear smarter than others. When we forget our past mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them. It's true, he added later. What are you talking about? The village is small and its story is not interesting at all. Nothing outside of the normal ever happened in it. Alfred laughs mockingly after hearing that. Your ignorance is worthy of praise. He pauses, filling his chest with pride. The very fact it is a small town is the reason it's full of mysteries. Did you know that 20 years ago, on this date, a man disappeared? So, what about it? I asked without being impressed or even interested in the least. Okay, we don't need... Oh, okay. I'm probably just going to start skipping out those, because it's not necessary in this format, but whatever. Things like that happen all the time, in all places. As I thought, you don't know the history despite living in this very place. Alfred adjusted his glasses in an arrogant gesture. There is a legend behind the disappearance. That is what I was reading. After listening to him, I looked back at the computer screen with curiosity. It's then that I noticed that it was not Wikipedia, but some other page. Come on, read this and learn a little, Alfred said, inviting us to read what was on the screen. Both Stephen and I moved closer to read it. Town of Abingdon, Oxfordshire County, 1994. I came to this town with only 4,000 inhabitants to support them in an investigation. Dude, that's like twice as many people that live in my town. Actually, it's more than twice as many. Anyways. Truth is that never in my life have I seen something this strange. I won't say your typical detective-ish nonsense that I have seen thousands of strange things in my life. I've seen many crimes, yes. Some difficult to solve, but all of them were human. Even if you don't know how they managed to perpetrate the crime, you know that they are people like anyone else. In this case, I don't think I'm able to say the same thing. Truth is that I can't understand what happened. Okay. I was called for the disappearance of a man named Matthew Graham. 23 years, single. The last time he was seen, he was returning home from a Halloween party. He had drank alcohol but was still sober, or at least that's what witnesses said. Anyway, this is not something which can be explained with a simple drunkenness. He apparently got lost on the way home and decided to enter the forest called Oakwood. It had rained yesterday, so the ground was wet and muddy. We could easily find his traces, which were leading deep inside the forest. Apparently he walked for 3 hours before stopping. I say stop, but the truth is we don't know what happened then. The tracks suddenly ended up in a clearing in the forest. And that's all. There was no evidence of struggle, no other trace, or pieces of clothing on the ground. There was no blood, no more footprints, or anything else. The depth of his last footprints and the position they were in indicated that he was still walking. At no point he stood still. It was as if he had vaporized in the air, with all his clothes, in the middle of his walk. Obviously, I can't believe such a thing, but I can't give another explanation. The only thing I remember is that near the footprints, I sensed a faint smell of rot. However, there were no animal corpses nearby. It is ridiculous to think he suddenly started to decay and became earth. In the end, the case was closed in just 3 days. With no evidence of any kind, we couldn't say anything but that he decided to escape from the village. However, while officially there was no more to do, I couldn't sleep in peace. Thinking about what could have happened to him took away my sleep. In my mind, I thought all sorts of theories, like maybe everything was a plan developed by Matthew, but in the end they all seemed impossible. I decided to investigate more on the issue. I searched the town for similar stories, and to my surprise, I found 4 more. All young men. The story was always the same. They walked into the forest alone, disappearing without a trace. Even more curious is that all of them disappeared on the same date, October 31st. But there is more. A detail that completely eliminates the possibility that there is a killer or a kidnapper behind this. And that is the separation of the years. Roger Bacon disappeared in 1924. Mitchell Smith disappeared in 1867. Jason Black disappeared in 1813. And the worst of all, Oswald Taylor disappeared in 1707. It simply couldn't be possible. My curiosity led me to dig deeper. I thought that the answer may be in the past of the forest. It was then when I discovered that what seemed to be a simple and boring forest actually hid a great story. Before it was called Oakwood, or Oaks Forest, the place was called Witchwood. The word witch has huge similarity with witch. That doesn't need to be. We get it. Taking into consideration that it is an old name and the language changes over time, that indicates that it was the Forest of Witches. Apparently, more than 400 years ago, the people of the village believed that witches lived in the woods. Unfortunately, almost all the information is already lost. There were stories told in voice, without a properly written record. I just know that with the change of religion to Christian, people stopped seeing the witches with good eyes and began to hunt them. Apparently, the last one before her death cast a curse on the forest, which even today should continue to exist. Anyway, obviously, I cannot accept something like that as the answer. In the end, I have no other choice than accepting that each one of them escaped from the village, using the legend of the forest to make it look like it was something supernatural. Excuse me. Interesting story. I didn't know that such a story was hiding in this town. Even if it was a lie, it managed to hold my interest. Wait, there's something more. Alfred scrolls to the comments. We read what is written there. A couple of comments call our attention. Both of them talk about some creature. At that time, they felt a horrible fear for what could happen to them. Well, the two comments share great similarities, but they could have been written by the same person. There are many others that deny it. Looks like many people went to the forest because of the legend but couldn't find anything. I thought you only read these things to look more cool in front of the girls, said Stephen as a joke. Alfred giggles with a little shame. Partly, yes. Well, well, now we have an activity for tonight. What? I thought we were just killing time. Simple. Let's go to the forest. He seemed really fascinated by the story. Are you insane? Alfred was unable to believe what he just heard. You only needed to look at his face to... Oops, can I roll back? Nope. Despite everything you've heard, you want to go? Of course, it would be a test of courage among us three. Stephen was full of confidence, perhaps too much. He should relax a bit. Don't tell me you're afraid. No, why should I be afraid? Alfred folds his arm, making a false gesture of security. It's more than obvious that you're afraid, Alfred. Almost as much as when you have to talk with a girl. What about you, Axel? Don't tell me you won't come. Stephen looks at me mockingly. Don't tell me you want to be the chicken of the group. I hate the tone of voice he used. I will never give you that. I said it without thinking, showing a confident smile and look. Well, let's not say any more. Get your coats, get your bags, flashlights, and some food. We're going to the forest. Stephen said, full of energy. Yeah! It's as if we were going to have some kind of private party. Not really knowing what we were doing or what we were going to find. That was a... Okay, well, it's 2:13 a.m. now, so we're going to stop. And we'll come back and see what's going on in the forest. Sweet. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and if you're enjoying this, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel and come back and watch the next one. Thank you very much. Okay, bye!